mean, I don't always use other people's great ideas, but when I do, I try to do it well.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So, taking some inspiration from Jay Bates and Jeremy Schmidt, my tripod has broken. I need a new camera stand. So I am going to build one similar to what theirs is. I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards how Jay Bates did his versus Jeremy Schmidt, but both in that very same idea, great videos. So with that, taking a little bit of drawing the rest of the owl, let's take these parts. I have a pole, my wood, a bucket, cement, and some caster wheels, and let's put them together and call it a video. And there we go. Rest of the flippin' owl done. Look at that. Wasn't that so easy? But if you'd like a little more explanation, we'll get into it now.
Why?
Cuz, bud, maybe they want to know how I made it. Alright, so I'm going to begin by drilling a couple holes into my pipe. I have some threaded rod. I will run through it afterwards. That's going to kind of be my anchor within the cement for this pipe. I have it sweetly jigged up so that it is laying flat on my table. And let's drill some holes. Alright, I got a smaller hole drilled. Let's go for the bigger one. Line this sucker up, ish. Got her. Alright, now because I'm using Jay's plans, he already laid out the lengths. Look. Yeah, so. Alright, so because Jay already laid out the plans, and little sidebar there with my wife, I'm just not going to reinvent the wheel. He does a good job with stuff. I saw his plans. It's basically what I'm copying. So first I am making some cuts at 10 1/4. So I'm just going to start with a clean edge and go from there. Alright, now with that funnel aside, normally I use my miter outside, but because it is colder than a scorned ex-girlfriend, I am doing it in the garage. So, let's try this again. Got my pieces at 10 1/4. Now I got 2 of those. Now we're going to do 4 pieces at 13 1/4. So there's my box. Everything goes in there nicely, just like it should. So I'm pretty happy with that. We'll get it fastened, get the cement mixed, and we're ready to get the pole level. All right, so I did not do that. So let's just set that over there. Didn't think through my little shimming project too much. If I had, I would have realized all I was doing was really just shortening the distance that goes from here to here by basically 1/4 of an inch. But I'm not actually affecting the interior squared circumference at all. So I'm gonna still have to trim these down, just that little bit I took off, and it'll be about 1/4 of an inch. But it's, in all reality, not going to do anything. So we're just going to keep it as is this time. All right, got 4 wheels on. Let's see how we do. Just the slightest rock. I'd say maybe only a 1/16 of an inch. Or maybe even just the amount that the caster by itself moves in these. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So, cool. And I'm gonna run some string through the top, tie it around. Yay! Tie it around my. So I'm gonna take some string, tie it around the garage door opener. It's gonna kind of suspend the pole in the bucket to help kind of keep it straight. I'll probably have to finagle it a little bit, but that'll keep it from wanting to lean to the side. And kind of gravity should kind of help keep it, for the most part, naturally vertical and down. Now, while I want it to be as close to 90 in all degrees, up and down, it doesn't have to be exact, as the camera will sit on a swiveling mount, so I will do any final little adjustments from there. And that's how you pour concrete and only make a little bit of a mess. So, how not to do concrete like a pro. Let's get some water. All right, got the cement poured in here. We are about right here on the bucket. My top bolts are right at about the top of this wood, so we got a couple inches of cement in there. But this baby's ready to roll. It's gonna dry. It's pretty flippin' cold out here, so it might take a while to dry, but it's drying, it's poured, it's straight, or plumb, I guess. Let's be correct here. It's plumb. Hey everybody. I got my post cemented in. It is just about dry. It's still curing, so I am just letting it kind of chill. I don't want to do any last minute jostling that'll mess it up. But where I'm going to begin now is building basically the mechanism that's going to slide up and down the pole. And I really kind of liked the idea that Jeremy Schmidt did with his, kind of using kind of 2 parallelogram arms on that. The reasoning behind that for me is, realistically, I think 90% of the movement that I will do will be in kind of a limited amount of range. And so if I can have the arms set up so that I can quickly just move it in that limited amount of range, that will take care of a ton of stuff for me. And then when I need to do a broader adjustment, I will loosen it and begin there. So I have a scrap piece of 1/2 inch ply that I'm going to use. My post is 2 3/8. I'm going to cut this actually to 3 3/8 because I'm going to make it a box joint around it, just kind of for fun and to practice. So I will try to do that, just make it look a little nicer, but that'll be my main box. I'll put in my T-nut into that and lock it into the post. So I'm going to go ahead and begin on that, get some things measured up, and we'll just cut out basically the basic box to begin. So I started measuring that and I realized I don't need to mark this out. I can just cut it on the table saw. We're just going to make those cuts on the table saw real quick and not worry about measuring.
Third time's the charm. So it's not perfect, but I wanted to see if I could do it. Cut all 4 out in one single pass, and it did work. Although I realized after I did it, I could have done it an easier way by lining them all up and then just offsetting the sides rather than offsetting it and then cutting them. So basically, had I just cut them like this and done it the right way, it would have worked rather than offsetting it an inch and cutting them like that. But I did get it. It's not perfect, but it was just kind of something fun to do. But this isn't really, a high stakes project. It's just gonna slide up and down on a pole in my garage. All right, I got my basic box cut up. Got my little buddy in the shop helping me out today. He is fixing my motorcycle at the moment. Hopefully not too much. I got this piece of maple scrap that I'm gonna use to make a handle. So I found a cup that was about the circumference of what I kind of want my hand to wrap around. So I'm gonna use that, cut my circle out from basically making this my template, and then I'll cut some grooves into it so I can turn it, and then that'll be my handle, get this thing ready to glue up. So let's keep rolling. Should be an easy, cheap way to make a good, nice little handle. Okay, so I got my square out, and just for ease of use, I'm going to do this to where I hit 3 inches. So there is my 3-inch mark, and here is my half mark. So we're going right there, and then we're going to do a 90 up from that. All right, I took my circle, I divided it up into 8 sections, then I took this washer, and basically this was kind of had the other side of the diameter that I wanted. Hey buddy. And I mapped it out so that it would kind of give me the roundovers that I wanted. So right now I'm getting a wedgie. But then what I'm going to do is cut all that out, and that should give me my handle. Thanks for the wedgie, buddy.
And then get another one.
No, we're all done. I think all in all, it's gonna probably have close to 50 inches of reach. So it's gonna be kind of a beast. We'll kind of see how that goes with weight after it's assembled. I'll get everything glued up, but let's run through a dry fit and see how it goes. So here is what we got. I have my mounting piece. What I've done is I didn't have a 1/2 inch spade bit, or excuse me, I do have a 1/2 inch spade bit, but I don't have a 1/2 inch Forstner bit. So I use that spade bit to drill a 1/2 inch hole. I'm gonna epoxy this little thread in there. That's gonna work for this phone mount that I'm gonna sit on there because I wanna use my phone sometimes. And this little thing came with a handy dandy little Bluetooth clicker, so that was cool for like $6. The other thing I bought is this camera phone or camera mount, and this takes a 3/8 screw that I'm going to sit right on here. It'll be able to pivot around and drop to a 90. I drilled a hole, put a T-nut in there, and it's going to run a 3/8 thread through there. I'll lock that in, stamp it on there, put my phone mount on there, and this project should be good. You can see the arm behind me. We're just about wrapping things up. I've sanded it down. I put just a coat of, I had some cheap wipe-on poly, so I used a little bit of that just to give it a little bit of protection, a little bit of shine, but things are coming along nicely and we are just about done. So let's talk about my little bit of an arm here. So overall length, this thing is pretty big. If I go to full extension like that, I believe I'm almost 4 feet out. Let's try.
That's what I think I'm walking.
So if I go from my pole to my camera mount, yep, I'm at 4 feet, almost exactly. So a lot of reach here. Now I have 2 mounts on here. The second one is for my phone. If I want to do a little phone inceptioning here, we'll do a little video of my video of us making a video. So there is phone inception. Now, if you notice this little thing, this is a little remote that came with my little phone mount, so I can control that a little bit. Mainly it's used for taking pictures, but I really like with that I can use this to get a little better idea of where I'm pointing at in things, or when I'm talking to the camera, I don't have to hold it like this anymore. I can just look directly into this and get my shot. Now with this, I made a handle just out of some of the same maple that I was using for that. It has a 3/8 screw that goes through that. About a half turn, I can slide it up, I can slide down, and lock it in. Now my screw on here is kind of sharp, so it digs into this just a little bit, and there's a few places you can kind of see scratch marks. I was okay with that because I really wanted it to have some grab. You'll notice I also put the spring on here. To me, it kind of makes it look like a bit of a robot arm. That was just so that if I had a little bit more weight on here and really had it extended out, it's not going to sink. So let me show you, for example. So if I take my drill and I put my drill on here with the phone, this drill weighs more than my camera does. You know, it's still sitting on there pretty even. So I'm not worried about the weight of this dropping. It won't ever hit the ground. If I back this up, the best it would probably do is come down to maybe close to the ground. But I get such a huge amount of reach with this thing. You got the drill, bud? Yeah. One thing that's also nice for me is I'm a little over 6 feet, so I'm not a giant, but I don't consider myself short. But I can really get a lot of reach out of this thing. If I wanted to do even like a top-down shot of myself, you know, even just going up just a little bit, I can get this way, you know, into a 7 to almost 8 foot range, where with this one, I can drop this down and do a 90-degree down shot. So a lot of range, a lot of movement on this thing. So very happy with this, super excited to be able to hopefully upgrade my extremely amateur video hour to slightly less amateur video hour. But if you want have any more questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah.